YouTube, welcome back. It's DubDigital. Welcome to the hottest crypto channel on YouTube. And today we have a very special guest. Today we got Cryptocito. What's up, man?
Yeah, man. Really love your channel. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here and talk with you. So yeah, man, thanks for the invitation.
Anytime. And guys, you know how these crypto combos go. Pretty laid back. We're just going to pick each other's brains, see what we see on the horizon of the altcoin forest, right? And just get more in, I guess not intertwined, but aligned with smart people in the space. So we can learn from each other and we can leverage each other's experiences. Thanks for being on the channel, man. Can you give us a little rundown on yourself and how you got into crypto?
Yeah, man, sure. So, I mean, first of all, I really love your kind of like ideology here. And I think the crypto space is full of tribalism and everybody believes to possess universal truth, about certain coins, about certain viewpoints and everything. So I really love to, get out there more and just connect with people like you and also, create content together. I think that's like first thing that maybe connects us also based on, also the videos I've seen from you. And I love it, man. I love your style, how you're bringing the things, and how you communicate with the audience and mix it up with the FA, with the TA and throw it all up and mix it all up. So
Thanks, man.
That's first. Really appreciate you, man. So how did I get into crypto and everything? I mean, I think like many of us in 2017, I mean, you have probably been there already earlier, just told me in 2013 when you first bought your first BTC. For me, it kind of started in 2017. And it really took me also half a year almost between the time when I first heard about Bitcoin, and it crossed $1,000 back then for the first time after many years. And then everybody was getting excited about it. And then I thought like, oh my God, what is this? And I started to learn about it. And it took me 6-8 months to then, switch from researching crypto and blockchain, understanding the financial system and really going down that rabbit hole to then buy my first crypto and having that user experience, right? And I think that's also maybe one thing that I recommend a lot of people that are now joining crypto because they're, hearing it from left and right and try to FOMO in and ape into coins that they don't understand is like, if you're new to crypto, the first thing you should do is really understand the macro impact that this industry has, the technology has, right, on finance and all these different industries. And I think that's the first thing that like everybody should really get aware of and really understand before you just ape into a random coin and try to get rich quick. I mean, of course, if you don't have that experience that we had in 2018, 2019, with the bear market where we lost all of our money and got wrecked and slept under the bridge, I think if you don't have that experience, you might view this space a little bit different and also be a little bit more emotional and also, faster with your trades and everything. But yeah, so I just sticked around through all those years, and I've seen long-term value since I basically got in, and I really love the community, connecting with the people. I've been all over the world and crypto basically enabled that to me. I lived in China, I lived in Colombia, I lived many different places around the world. So I started my YouTube channel around like 10 months ago, I think around a year ago, where I really started to create content. And I really enjoy it, man. I love it. And yeah, man, so here I am. That's my little story here.
Awesome. Yeah, it's about the time I started my channel. And in fact, I remember seeing your channel a long time ago, because I started like 10 months ago too. And I was just like scouting because I'm what do you call it? I strategize, man. Before I go out there, I'm like looking at everyone's channel, seeing like where I could be differentiate myself. And I saw your channel, I was like, oh shoot. And I checked back not too long ago and we're about like pretty level on subs. So that's interesting, man.
Yeah, man, that's true. And also, from different angles, because I think I'm more like, the fundamental analyst in the space. And I read a lot, I research a lot, I connect a lot with people, I talk to the teams, and then there's others that stare at charts all day, right? I can't do that. I hate that. Like I get headache. I mean, I do of course look at the charts, and you should never ignore like technical analysis and all these kinds of things. But I think everyone has their kind of like, passion or whatever they enjoy doing more. And I'm more of a fundamental researcher and probably networker. I don't know.
For sure.
And yeah, man, I just love doing that. I think we're very similar in that field. And yeah, man, I think it's a cool job, you know. I mean,
oh yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Can't complain.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. Yeah.
That brings up something, right? So with that, and you're a fundamental analyst of pretty much the market. That's cool. I mean, obviously, if you watch my channel, I like to get both elements and like kind of use them as like a synergy in a synergistic way. Because it's in my mind, it's kind of like the chart's kind of the canary in the coal mine. The chart at least lets you know that, okay, this asset might be relatively undervalued, right? And that kind of tips me off to, okay, that means that asymmetric risk is in my favor. I might want to look into this more, you know. But the fundamentals is really the meat and potatoes of it all. Because a good chart like doesn't mean anything if it's a rug pull, you know. A good, and that's what I believe in. So like knowing that, and you're all into the fundamentals. What in the space? What blockchains in the space are you looking at to be high performers this cycle?
That's a very good question, man. I mean, right now I do have two favorite projects that I think have incredibly strong fundamentals. One of them I know also that you are pretty deep into, and your audience. The first one is Cosmos. That's right now my baby, right? I'm like full-time cosmonaut. I love their community. I love their kind of approach, also how they see the whole crypto space and the internet of blockchains, the blockchain and crypto economy. And the other one is Hedera Hashgraph, right? I know you're also a big fan of them, and it's just impressive, you know, the magnitude of the projects and those large enterprises that are involved there, right? Like, and it's not just talk; it's also like they're backing it up, you know, with on-chain metrics, or they're not using a traditional blockchain in that sense, but like with real data, right? Yeah. So those are my two current biggest bets in the large cap space. And I do have another, you know, whole I would say portfolio. A whole chunk of my portfolio is also in DeFi. So I'm just, you know, trying to play around with synthetic asset marketplaces, with bridges, you know, with like stuff on Binance Smart Chain, with stuff on on Ethereum, obviously. So yeah, man, I'm just trying to be an avid DeFi user, because I also want to use, you know, the products and know what I'm also talking about. But I typically don't talk too much about that, you know, because I know the risk of DeFi is pretty high, because, you know, most of these projects are brand new, not tested, most of them not even audited. So I rather stick to those strong fundamentals. And yeah, man, the Cosmos community has been, you know, incredible. I mean, I really love the community. They received me also with open arms, and even lead developers from the project, you know, reached out to me and jumped on calls with me, explained me stuff. So awesome.
You know, so I'm guessing you're a fan of Tendermint and all that, right? Because there's lots of different approaches now for interoperability between blockchains. It used to be no interoperability. That's people for other cycles don't remember. You couldn't get anything to any other chain unless you went through a centralized exchange, but that's becoming a thing of the past. So what about Tendermint do you think has an edge over other interoperability solutions?
Yeah, so Tendermint is kind of like, just to give context also to the audience, is basically the development arm behind Cosmos, right? It's like IOHK behind Cardano, or like Parity behind Polkadot. You have Tendermint, which is behind Cosmos, right? The main company. And what they have built first is the Tendermint consensus algorithm, which is a Byzantine fault-tolerant proof of stake algorithm. And then secondly, they have built the Cosmos SDK, right, which is this basic modular framework that anybody can just take and build upon, right? And then the latest thing that they released, and that's the thing that you mentioned also about interoperability, is the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, right? IBC. And what it basically does is projects can just take that, fork that into their code, and they're compatible with everything that's happening within the within the Cosmos ecosystem, right? The Cosmos Hub has been the first project to implement it. Then the second one was Iris, and just I think 2 days ago, Akash, which is a cloud computing project, they also implemented it. And I really love to see more projects integrating that and building bridges between each other, because that's eventually what we need, right? I mean, imagine if the internet as of today, if you had to download a separate browser for every single website that you're opening, it would be pointless, right? So that's kind of like how I see the crypto space and blockchain. I know other people see it different, right? For example, Bitcoin maxis, they see the internet as Bitcoin and everything else is just a scam, right? I see the internet more as decentralized ledger technology, and then websites on top of that are running on the internet are basically sole sovereign blockchains that are eventually all interconnected through standardized protocols. So that's how I see the space, and that's also why I'm so excited about Cosmos, because it is a classic kind of layer zero, and also the first project that actually shipped their entire original white paper with the release of IBC in February of this year. Yeah, that's why I'm so excited about it. They're also now, I think in a week, no, actually 4 days, I think, they're also launching their DEX, the Gravity DEX.
Really?
Which is also
cool.
a cross-chain DEX. And they have a huge kind of like marketing thing around, where you can win prizes for trading there and trading competitions and those kinds of things. So yeah, man, like I'm really excited about it. I also just started to run my own node there, which is a whole new chapter. Like I'm not technical, but I have friends that help me with it, and now I'm also on the staking validator side of things. But yeah, man, so that's basically a 360 of what Cosmos is and why I'm so excited about it.
Shameless plug, go stake on Cryptocito's server. Hey, but that's cool. And the one thing that perked up my ears, I guess I would say, was basically China coming out and naming them in their blockchain national system, along with like Tezos and another couple other ones. But that's a big deal, at least to me. Sovereign interest. It's kind of showing you what they have plans for in the future, whatever those are.
I mean, the like I lived in China for like one and a half, I think in total like 2 years probably. When I first was there in 2012, and then I had an exchange semester from my university. So there were like different occasions where I went to China, and the kind of like the velocity at which China is growing and innovating it's nuts, man. It's absolutely crazy. And between 2012 and last time I was there in 2019, actually I left, man, China is completely digital. It's on the forefront of crypto, of blockchain, the whole development scene and everything is just, it's just amazing there, man. Like they're so far ahead in everything, especially here compared to Europe. Europe, we're very slow and conservative, especially here in Germany where I'm right now. Very conservative when it comes to digitization, when it comes to money, right? Disruptive technologies, all these kinds of things. And China is just like 10 steps ahead, right? Like, for example, if you go now at 3 a.m. in Shanghai and you want to eat a noodle soup on the street, right? Like there's this 86-year-old grandmother that makes their noodle soup in their home kitchen. And there's a QR code of WeChat Pay or Alipay. And you just, your choice, you want to scan it and you pay with digital money there, right? So, and that's already the standard since years, right? I think Alipay and WeChat Pay, they have combined 1.2 billion users, right? Most of them in China, obviously. So that's the thing, right? And obviously, also a lot of these crypto projects that originated from China, right? Like Binance, like EOS, have strong communities there, and Tron, of course, and all these kinds of projects. And so Cosmos also has ties to China. I think actually right now it's more Iris. So Iris is basically also built on the Cosmos SDK, and it is the Chinese counterpart. So they kind of like, I don't know the exact story, like how they separated or how they are collaborating, but it's also co-developed with Tendermint, right? The same company that is behind Cosmos. And Iris is now chosen to be the main interoperability layer on this blockchain service network that you just said. I think that's what you wanted to allude to, right? And that project, man, that is, that originated from Chinese telecommunications giants like China Mobile and all these large companies that eventually are government owned, right? So I think China has really, really big plans when it comes to rolling out blockchain technology at scale from China, and interoperability is, of course, one of the key things there. and Iris is a major part of it, but they're also adding now more and more other public chains to that network. Yeah, so that's, I think, the situation in China right now. And regarding Cosmos, I think they have also just been mentioned from the ECB, right, the European Central Bank, in their report. So they're all doing their homework right now. It's fun to see, you know, because we've been in that space for so long, and we're trading the coins on decentralized exchanges, and now all the central banks are coming out and doing their homework. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't think they'd listen to me, but see, central banks, we told you so.
Yeah, man.
We told you so.
We told you so, man.
You know, because it's kind of like when you really dig into the tech before you dig into blockchain, people who are new to the space think that crypto more or less is a gimmick or a fly by night kind of fad kind of thing. But no, when you really dig into it, it's a technological groundbreaking thing that's never been done before, that allows freedom and the sharing of wealth all over the world. Like, how could that not grow? It's good ideas grow. It's ideas flourish in the minds of people, especially with code that can be copied and like reduplicated. So like once the genie's back in the bottle, we're just now seeing come to the forefront, and Wall Street actually act like it's not a joke. Now we have banks capitulating. Now, you know, it's just awesome to see the dominoes fall down that we thought would happen last cycle. So when it comes down to this cycle, how far in do you think we are? You know, I'm of the mindset that we're probably like, I'm waiting for that big altcoin, like you know, the Bitcoin dominance to drop. And that will, to me, indicate like halfway. But I want to know your take on it. Different people think different things. So
yeah, so I think from a chart analysis perspective, the Bitcoin dominance chart is obviously probably right now the hottest chart to look at, because Bitcoin just dropped, I think, below, what is it, 47, 48%. So yeah, I think that's kind of like one of the key levels that everyone's waiting for altcoins to fly and pop. And we're already seeing it, actually. I mean, you know, like, sure, everyone's waiting for the 100x's, but we're seeing like 3x's, 4x's, you know, left and right. Ethereum is at nearly 3K. I mean, it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I agree. I think there's also going to be this crazy, you know, 6 to 8 weeks probably push and complete madness of altcoins, like we've seen last year in the DeFi summer also, where coins just made random 20, 30, 40x's, right? So I think that's still to come. In regards to Bitcoin, I think we'll definitely see the 6 digits. I don't know if it's going to be 150K or 250K, or I don't know when it peaks, but I think we're definitely going to see 6 digits. And for ETH, I think we're definitely going to see 5 digits. I actually also believe that ETH is going to overtake Bitcoin this year in market cap. So I'm going to see how that plays out. Yeah, so I'm more bullish on ETH than Bitcoin, just because there's so much more development and activity there and innovation. But yeah, I think also the life-changing gains is probably made in alts, right? In like mid-cap alts, maybe some low-cap alts. I don't really encourage people to, you know, browse page 12 on CoinGecko to find the 1000x gem. I think you don't have to go to the deepest altcoin jungle. I think if you just stick to strong fundamentals, then you're going to do it really well.
I agree with you on that. But to be honest, man, like I've been hitting big X's, like, you know, because it all depends when you invested in. It's all relative, right? It's all relative. If you're looking for trades now, yeah, it might be kind of difficult because things lifted off the bottom, you know, but that's why I kind of like try to preach to people that investing's a process. There's a time to sell. There's a time to accumulate. There's a time to take profits, you know, like, so with that said, what's your strategy typically in investing in crypto? I know you like to dig into the fundamentals of it, but what's Cryptocito's special sauce in having to take profits? Or are you like a swing trader? You probably not intraday. I mean, most fundamental guys aren't. But
yeah, I'm not trading daily, but I do trade a lot because I have so many coins, and you know, I'm just also having my kind of like balance. You know, how much exposure do I want to have to high cap alts? How much exposure do I want to have to small cap alts and DeFi? Right, I have different segments in my portfolio, and I like to keep it according to my game plan. But so I mean, I thought about this a lot like a year ago, right? what is the base currency that I want to denominate my portfolio in, right? USD is kind of like, yeah, that's the lowest hanging fruit. Most people do it probably in BTC. But then I thought, like, I believe Ethereum is going to outperform Bitcoin, right? So I'm gonna stack ETH, right? So that was kind of like my first thought process, and then it evolved basically to, man, I think Polkadot is gonna outperform ETH, right? So I rather stack DOT. So I was kind of like thinking, okay, I want to stick to one, maybe 2 or 3 large cap coins that I think are currently undervalued relative to other large cap coins, and I want to stack those, right? And once they catch up in value, then I will find the next strong fundamental large cap coin, right? So for the past 6 months, or actually that's already a couple of months ago, but my first picks have been Cardano and DOT. I loaded the shit up on ADA before it was like when it was around 3, 4, 5 cents, right? Like a year ago. So I loaded the shit up on that. And when it went to obviously, 60 cents, 80 cents, $1, now it's at $1.30 or something like that. That's already pretty high evaluation. Same for DOT. I bought the first DOT around $3 or $4, and now it's like $40, 35, 40. So I thought, okay, those coins have made their, big run. So what is the next DOT? What is the next ADA, right? What is the next Cardano? And I stumbled upon Cosmos and Hedera. So those are my 2 current favorites. And I think they still have crazy room to grow. I mean, I don't see any reason why these coins could not reach the evaluation of Polkadot or Cardano, right? So this is kind of like my philosophy. And then behind that, I'm, like I said earlier, I'm trading a lot of DeFi coins and playing around with the synthetic asset marketplaces and all these kinds of things, But that's more speculative and more risky as well. My main bets are basically those 2 right now.
Okay, and guys, let me just pinpoint something if you didn't pick it up. He talks about profit rotation. Okay, so like he has some big run-ups, and we always talk about on my channel, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Big up, eventually a big down's coming, unless I don't know, hyperinflation takes hold, but we're not going to go there, right? So like he takes a portion of his profits and moves it into what he considers an undervalued asset, and that's how you have continual growth, right? The portion that you pull, that's dependent upon the investor, but hey, I like that approach. I do it myself. I just did that I just got an icon, ICX, because the ties to like Korea, and all that, and interoperability as well. So I do this thing where I look at different geography,
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a great point. That's a great point. I think Korea is one of the most still underrated and overlooked markets out there. So Icon is probably gonna fly pretty high. You have also Phantom, right? They have also an office there, main office in Korea, and also Clayton, which is a project that no one has ever had on their radar, but it's already in the top 25. And I've covered Clayton since a year, and I discovered this thing at 6 cents, and same thing, right? With Hedera, right? They also have this giant governance council with huge companies in it, and Binance is in it, and all these large institutions. And I thought, man, like, if they just proceed doing what they do, this thing's gonna fly, right? And it's now in the top 25 or 30 or something like that. So I think
that's awesome.
Geographic distribution is also a great point that you're making, and it's super important.
Yeah, and looking at it, you've been in crypto since 2017. We both know that Korea almost like carried the whole crypto market by itself at one point. Like, guys, India was coming out saying maybe bans. China was also on that tip for a little bit. And then Korea's like, whatever, we're just going to buy more. Because people forget that some economies factor into this as well. And people's sentiment towards crypto changes as the economies and the financials are strong or weak. That's another thing. But see, like, that's how I like to do it. I like to kind of spread myself like in the typical big cap, small cap, mid cap, but also across the world. Also different technologies like Hashgraph. That's a good one.
Yeah, man.
Like just real quick, I used to work at a aerospace defense company before I started this channel. And the reason I like Hashgraph was because I heard that if an enemy combatant got a hold of a vehicle that used Hashgraph for sending messages and sending funds or whatever it would send funds, they would only get the last 2 messages. See, like, military can't be having the whole blockchain getting cracked if that ever happened, and like someone reading all your stuff. They're not going to have that. So I think that's awesome to have in the back pocket, just in case blockchain, I know, some happens.
Yeah, and I also think one major narrative that people are kind of like, I think they're not like thinking about the links between central bank digital currencies and public ledgers, right? And from the crypto space, and also Hedera, they're now part of a company, of a project called MTech, and MTech is also basically providing services for central banks, right? They help them to design central bank digital currencies. They basically consult them, right? And Hedera is part of that. So indirectly, actually, Hedera has now ties to the Fed, to the Federal Reserve, right, and to the Bahamian central bank as well, right? So, like, I like to see those ties, between crypto projects and real world, demand, and Hedera provides that. We were talking about Korea before. In Korea, there's boatloads of companies that also want to use the technology. Sure, there's still a lot of speculation there, but it's also about real world adoption, right? So I'm kind of looking to put my money into those projects that have product market fit, that have real world demand and usage, big teams, big communities, right? And hopefully that they're cheap, so that you can load up on them and then make some nice profits there. So that's I think a good strategy that you can do there.
Awesome. Have you looked at any projects in India at all, based out of India? Like, we saw Matic take off, Polygon now, right? Talked about Persistence. I think they're based out of India. You heard about Persistence XPRT, Uniland Finance, right? One of the guys who left Matic or Polygon, Chandresh, he started that. Anything in your scope that you've been eyeing, or basically just those projects you have listed?
Yeah, I mean, Uniland would have been my answer. That's something that I've also had on my radar. And well, Matic, they've just had this crazy, incredible run.
Exploded,
very, very big project. But I'm not holding any of these, I think. Yeah. I was investing a little bit into Matic a while ago, and I've just used their DEX QuickSwap, which also just blew off completely. They exploded. I think they did 100x or something. I don't even know. Yeah, but I think that the thing with India is also that, man, the regulation there, and it's so tough, man. Like, people there are getting really, they're basically forced to go out of the country in the end of the day. It's the central banks, the regulators are making it really, really hard for the people, which is a pity, because eventually they can't censor, they can't ignore the technology. They can just make it hard for people and get left behind. That's actually all they can do, and that's what they're unfortunately doing, right? So it's a pity, but still the demand from Indian people is really, really big. They want to get involved. They're incredibly smart, talented, when it comes to IT and everything that deals with technology, right? But yeah, man, it's a pity. I mean, I would love to see more innovation there, and more support, I would say. But yeah, man, the government is just lagging behind there.
You bring up a point. You can't catch them all. You can't buy everything. There's a million and one interesting projects, and I look at them all, and I can't stop myself. I start reaching my pocket, take my money. But at the end of the day, it's like you start running out of money because there's like thousands of projects. So I hear you on that.
I saw recently that you started to talk about a project from Russia, right? So how did that start off with Metahash?
So Metahash, I actually got some like comments on my videos talking about Metahash MHC, and I never heard of them. I started digging into it, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I started digging in some of the names. Saw Brock Pierce was an advisor at one point. Saw that Token Metric was an advisor at one point. And then one of my subs reached out to me. Robert, mutual friend, reached out to me and started talking about it. And he's building in that space. And then I just started looking into it. I said, I downloaded the browser, checked it out. I said, it's working product. It's early, but it's working. And the staking rewards were interesting. So that means that, they're always going to have people coming into it just from an economic standpoint. And then I just heard some of the things they're planning to do, and it looked really interesting with the trace chain AI, 3-second finality. And I said, hey, why not? Because, I like to get exposure in geography. and I don't have any Russian-based projects pretty much. So I like that.
That's a very good point, man. Yeah. And I was asking because I know Robert now for 2.5 years, I guess. And when I met him, he just started to learn about Metahash and with Gleb and all the Russians that were building the protocol back then. And then I've just seen Robert over the years, man, relentlessly building, realizing his vision with hashtag space and with the Metaget browser, and it's all coming together, man. I'm so happy for him, and also excited that he's really, I've never seen anybody who had such a clear vision for like 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and actually doing more than what he had in his brain, right? It's absolutely incredible, man. He's a real hustler, and I'm also, talking with him all the time. I didn't get a chance yet to get him on my channel, but I definitely will have him on my channel as well in the future. I just found it interesting because I saw you start talking about it a few weeks ago, and I was like, man, that's interesting. How did you find that? It's a real jam.
The reason I'm all up in altcoin forest, I'm probably like on my portfolio 20% Bitcoin, 80 alts. Like I'm even more exposed to alts than I initially wanted to. I was like thinking 30-70. I just keep like dipping into it because if Bitcoin dominance does drop like I think it will, and revisit 36% dom and maybe bounce and then go below, everything, not financial advice, but a lot of stuff are going to pump like crazy, more than we've ever seen. So like, hey, I'm looking at projects that are still low. I'm not ruling nothing out. MHC was still low, and a lot of people don't look at it. And I look at projects that have a product, have technical like activity, but just lack maybe exposure or quality media. So,
and I think another thing that you also covered in your video, if I recall correctly, is that you said it's also one of these projects that launched, I think, during or before this 2017 bull run. I think during or short, like early 2018. I don't remember when
it was 2009. Was it 19?
Was it 2019? I think it was 2018.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, I don't remember. But the thing is, the bottom line is they have survived the bear market back then, right? So they have gone through all this capitulation and abundance left and right, and they have survived it, right? They have made it. So that's already a good signal, that the team is really committed, right? And I think for most projects that are launching right now or over the next 3 to 6 months, I think most of them are probably not going to be able to survive the next bear market, right? And healthy consideration you should also make when you invest into cryptocurrencies, not just jump on the hype train and on the next hype thing, but also bet on strong fundamentals, on strong teams, on strong commitment, right? From the founders, from the team. And you can find that out pretty easily, right? Like if you just connect with the team. I mean, most team members are actually very approachable, right? You don't have to have 200,000 followers. You can actually just send them a message, literally jump on a call with them, and they will explain you everything. And you get a good
Telegram group, guys. Hit up the Telegram groups. Like they're not just there to post memes. Like they're there to ask hard questions. I see it all the time in Telegram groups.
I said this also in my last video, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. It's like my whole purpose and my whole main advice is basically don't just be a silent observer, right? Like don't think that you have to just buy something because a random YouTuber, like don't even listen to what we say, right? Like YouTube is a great spot that you can extract information from and maybe get angles and ideas that you probably haven't thought about, and also raise awareness of projects that you wouldn't probably have discovered. But I really, really want to encourage everyone also to become active, part of the community, right? And engage with the teams, with a community, right? With everyone. And I think there's like different hats that you can take in the crypto industry, but just aping into random coins at the peak, right? Like the SafeMoon thing, right? Like a lot of people were reaching out to me like, oh my God, this is gonna go through the roof when it already did 1,000x, right?
Yeah.
So that's not what you want to do, right? You want to do the opposite, right? You want to front run the masses, and you usually front run the masses if you do your own research. It's that simple.
For sure. Let's switch the topic a little bit. You talked about DeFi. I like DeFi a lot because I was like perpetually taking profits and rotating it into smaller coins. But then I realized I could liquidity mine. I found that not all liquidity mining opportunities are good. It definitely depends on the coin you get, who's backing it. I jumped into WAN chain, like their WAN swap. And I started doing that. I did it really well on that. And now I'm all up in Balance Network, which is on Icon, and I'm liquidity farming that. But guys, like, you don't have to always get capital gains to make money in crypto now. It's really evolving as like, this is decentralized finance. The way I see it is, in the beginning, early on in the cycles, people were mining for that initial digital liquidity, like a Bitcoin, like an Ethereum, like those. Those times are kind of tapered off now. A lot of the supply is out into this circulation. Now we're actually building out the dApplication, like the dApps that are going to be running on these blockchains. And those dApps are rewarding people handsomely for providing that digital capital. So they have liquidity come in and out of it and be useful. So like when you look at like DeFi in general, DeFi is just another extension of the digital like revolution that started in 2010. Now the blockchains are useful now.
I think you're making a great point there, because like first off, the core difference between 2017 and now is that 2017 was basically speculating on the price of Bitcoin and ICOs, right? So those were the two main things that you could do back in 2017. So eventually it was just speculating on prices, right? And now what Uniswap and 1inch and all these and now PancakeSwap, what they have pioneered was, or actually Uniswap. Let's stick with Uniswap. Not a big fan of PancakeSwap, but what Uniswap has pioneered was basically that concept, like you were saying, you can earn passive income, right? You can put your coins to work for you. You can upload liquidity on Uniswap, and you would earn fees from the traders, right? So I love that. And then sure, suddenly you have a whole set of new challenges and risks, right? Like the impermanent loss thing that you were mentioning. And then the rug pulls came up. I think the rug pulls only came up in September or October with that whole food mania, right? With the kimchis and with the spaghetti and sushi. Yeah, and sushi initially. Actually, most people don't know
sushi's fine.
Yeah, it's fine now, but sushi was a rug pull in the beginning, right? They started literally with a rug pull. So that was funny. And now you're seeing, like, I think we're probably now heading towards the second DeFi summer, maybe, I don't know, where we have a whole new kind of like set of innovation and mania as well, maybe, because also now Uniswap is undergoing a major upgrade. I think it's this month, right, in May. I think in a few days, maybe. You have different functionalities there. For example, now one thing that I'm really excited about is that you can predefine a price range that you want to provide liquidity for. And then it helps you to avoid getting completely wrecked with the impermanent loss, right? So like there's a lot of lessons learned from last year that are being implemented right now. I also think cross-chain DEXs are going to be really, really huge when people find out that you can send between multiple chains, right? And Gravity DEX as well as Torchain, right? They're also releasing their DEX. I think those are the first ones. And AnySwap, I think they're also DEX. So there's a couple of them, but I think Gravity DEX, Gravity DEX, I think they might have the biggest impact here because they just have such a huge community, right? And I think they already have 25,000 registrations for the competition next week. So wow. I like to see those things. I like to, I love DeFi, like you said. Also, I'm with you on that. I love DeFi. It's definitely the future of finance. And I hope more people understand how it works, why it matters, why it's so different, right, to the current financial system. I just think you also need to be careful with that. There's so much BS out there, and so many people that try to take advantage of the new people that are coming in, and lots of rug pulls. I think we're going to keep seeing over the next years. But that's also the side effect of complete decentralization, right, and open finance, is that you have a lot of people that are exploiting the contracts, that are exposing the downsides and the flaws in the system, right? So I think it's just a natural side product that we'll never get rid of.
So yeah, I hear you on that. But hey, that's why you're getting paid 2,000% APY. You're taking risk. Yeah. Like the market rewards people who take risk. People get rewarded handsomely for assuming risk. Sometimes risk doesn't work out. That's just the nature of investing, and that's why it's up to the investor in the DeFi project to do the digging. because it could be, I've seen it both ways, right? Rug pulley kind of projects where they're overemphasizing the APY because they know they're just going to pull the capital anyway. They don't care, right? They're just enticing people to come in. And then I've also seen good projects give big APYs because they know they're competing with these rug pulls. And they're just like, hey, no, we're legit. Just come on over. Like it's hard to tell between the two. And that's why getting involved with the project helps out. Because you can see, like, you know, the general, do they have a Telegram? Is it active? Are people asking questions? Are developers responding? Is the GitHub getting uploaded? Like all that right there. And that's why I want to start a channel, because I was just doing all this by myself in my bedroom, you know? And then I saw online that, hey, there's people who don't know how to go about this at all. And we have new people, and it's more dangerous than it's ever been. The space is more dangerous than when I came in. There was like just less project in general.
People are like, okay, so the core thing when you invest in crypto and when you're just joining the space maybe for the first time now is you need to control your emotions. That's basically the bottom line of it all, right? And if you see, sure, you see high yields, you see people are making money, but when people are telling me how much money they're making, it's probably already too late, right? Because like when somebody made 1000x, then you're literally buying the top, right? So you always got to be like careful and really evaluate from a product perspective. And like you were saying, you know, you can look up the GitHub. It doesn't really take you to be a developer or a programmer, right? I'm not a programmer. I can't read code, but I can click on GitHub. I can open the rep and I can see who's working on it, right? It doesn't take you to be a genius. So you can just look that up, those kinds of things. And as you do that more and more and more, you get a better feeling of, you know, what's legit, what's less legit, what has potential. And I think that's what I'm doing a lot. That's what I'm spending probably most of my time on, is just to get a better feeling for the market and get a better feeling for projects and all these kinds of things. And then also another major thing is the tokenomics side of things, right? Who holds how many coins, right? How much can they dump on us? How's the vesting like if there's VCs involved, right? Like all these kinds of things that people usually don't really look into, but I think it's really, really important and gives you also a good indication, right? Like how legit is the project, right? Like, for example, all these rug pulls happened because there was zero lockups on liquidity, right? So they could just remove liquidity at will, right? And now, since there were so many rug pulls, now you have more and more projects that are uploading or providing liquidity with 1 or 2 year locks, right? So like those kind of little things, you know, that can at least help you to not get entirely wrecked. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's also sometimes good to have bad experiences because you can learn so much from it.
I mean, think about it, right? 2017 projects were mooning off of white papers. Now that's expected. Now that's a must, you know, but you remember that, like, we have a white paper now. Bang.
Yeah. We soon have a website.
Yeah. So like, guys, moral of the story, read the white paper. It's mandatory. Read the white paper. It has their tokenomics in it. If they don't have a white paper, that's a sign. You know, but like it's you don't gotta be a genius and like a crypto expert to sniff out something fishy. Because like I come from a very kind of corporate background, and I worked with a lot of the program managers, and I kind of approach crypto as in like looking at a team in that way. Now, do they have a milestone, like a roadmap or a milestone schedule? Are they hitting them? How many times have they delayed? You could kind of get how the team is vibing and how much execution is happening by just that. Because if someone fails a milestone 2, 3, 4, keeps pushing it back, that's not a good sign. Doesn't mean they can't overcome it. I mean, look at Ethereum. They probably will overcome it, but it gives you a feeling.
I think with the time, you know, in the market, you'll naturally learn that, and you'll naturally get a better feeling for that. If you're just really committed to it. Because I get a lot of friends that are now asking me like, oh man, do you think, like, why do you think, do we need coin A if coin B does this and that? You know, it's like, man, you really have to get a better feeling of the whole market, you know, and then really get experience with it. And you'll understand like how projects are also different from each other. Like we're talking a lot about this in the show today. I love that you mentioned it, is also the geographical distribution, right? Because people in Korea, they love Korean projects, right? And based on their regulatory structure and how exchanges work over there, they mostly only have access to projects from Korea, right? So it's a different thing that you need to consider there. And yeah, I think again, it's still a very new industry, and a lot of it is still very experimental and unproven. But man, in the long run, I'm so excited about it, man. And I think right now we're, also pretty early on with the whole establishment of the Web3, and we can really build up something cool here, right? And everybody can do that. You can start a YouTube channel, you can start a podcast, you can start a newsletter, you can build your own project. There's so many cool roads that you can take, and the opportunities in that space are, in the end of the day, are gigantic right now. So I'm really
this is one of the most lucrative. I'm sorry to cut you off, but this is one of the most lucrative industries you can get in without, at least in America, being like an accredited investor, where you have to make a certain amount of money before you can get into perceived risky investments. Crypto is the first one where like Main Street front ran Wall Street. True. This is a huge financial opportunity, at least for people in the United States. It might not be, that kind of restrictions across the globe, but that's awesome. And I love that. I love an underdog story. And the way I look at it is everyone who's, retail investor is the underdog. Wall Street's here now, and that's the maturation of the market. Yeah. But fast forwarding here, I'm interested in knowing this part. What's your like take profit strategy coming out of the bull run entering bear?
Well, I have this whole Excel sheet developed that basically tells me like how and when should I take profits. But also I think a major part of it is also market sentiment, right? And we're seeing right now, for example, everyone's still waiting for Bitcoin to hit 6 figures, right? Like that's kind of like inevitable. Same for Ethereum to hit 5 figures. EIP 1559 is coming out. Uniswap V3 is launching. Like there's still so many bullish things that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I think as we're entering this next leg up, I'll start to take profits also, and build up probably also stablecoin portfolio. And that's also one of the key differences between back then and now, is that you can also now earn yield on your stablecoins, right? So it's actually, you're not completely out of crypto, you're still generating cash flow. Mm-hmm. But I think I will increase my stablecoin portfolio over the next couple of months. So that's kind of my goal. It's going to be a tough battle with myself, with my own emotions here. Yeah, so I guess my main strategy is going to be like the way I got in, I dollar cost averaged in, and I'm going to dollar cost average out. So that's basically the bottom line here. And I think, maybe we have another, 3, 4, 5 months. I don't know. But like the sentiment in crypto changes almost on a daily basis, right? I remember back like in the last DeFi summer, we had one day where everyone was, completely euphoric and enthusiastic. And then literally the day after, when Bitcoin crashed 10% or something, or 15%, everyone was extremely bearish, right? Like you really have to get a feeling for that and anticipate, that when there's an explosive move to the upwards, maybe it's a good moment to take profits there, and to keep also something on the sidelines, right? That's also something I started doing, is to always have a little stablecoin reserve, so that whenever there's a black swan crash, that you can buy the blood. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like there's people that say it's gonna go on to at least December or the end of the year. I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna cash out and take some profits if there's an explosive move. But I don't want to nail down right now, like, on September 28th, I'm going to cash everything out. Like, who knows, man? I don't know.
For sure. Yeah. Like the way I look at the Bitcoin, I do most of my navigation through the Bitcoin dominance chart, because that shows me like the ebbs and flows of the money in crypto. And then ultimately it leaves crypto when Bitcoin dominance starts grinding up significantly. But I'm looking at like, okay, once we revisit 36%, that's the last all-time low and last cycle for Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to start definitely pulling significant portions into stable coins and just like having it there. It might go lower, but that's the indication to me that, okay, we're back here again. It couldn't go lower. I'm not going to sell everything. I'm going to do it incrementally, so I keep like benefiting from that drop if it happens. But Like that's true. Like guys, if you're looking for one big fat sell, that's risky. You know, you want to kind of like, you want a dollar cost average in, you want a dollar cost average out.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but another huge mistake I did in 2017 was that I had this magic number in my mind, like when my portfolio hits this number, I'm gonna sell. You know, like don't do that. Like, don't do that. Don't wait. Like, don't enforce your portfolio to do magic for you, right? It's not gonna happen. Rather have realistic price targets for your coins, right, in relation to other coins. And to me, for example, Cosmos. We talked a lot about Cosmos today, and if I look, for example, at the Atom coin, right, and compare it to DOT, right, in my opinion, Atom has much stronger fundamentals than DOT, but DOT is 8 times bigger than Atom, right? So the realistic price target for me is for Atom to do at least 8 to 10x from here, right? So that's kind of like what I mean, you know, like to set realistic price targets that kind of makes sense somehow. Because crypto is a very, the line between being greedy and being like, you know, and maximizing your profits is really, really thin in crypto. And most people either sell way too early or they sell too late, right? So either way you get wrecked. And that's why it makes sense to take profits between that, you know, between that emotional state where you think like, oh man, I'm going to become a multimillionaire, and oh my God, it's going to zero. You know, it's like you're constantly battling between those two worlds. And yeah, just have realistic price targets and do that when you're in an emotionally stable, you know, condition. Because when everything is going to the roof and then you're like, oh my God, my coin is going to do another 100x, like probably not, you know.
For sure. And one, sorry, go ahead.
One last thing is, is that just look at also the monthly charts, man. Like the monthly chart of Bitcoin looks like, I mean, it's getting dizzy up there. You know, it's like green candle after green candle, and we might see another 2-3 big fat green candles. You know, but there is going to be red monthly candles on the Bitcoin chart in the future, right? So we always have to kind of like be realistic.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things is like I always harp to my subscriber base is don't sell all, get in all out of positions, sell percentages of your existing position. So like, you know, 1/3 of your position, it goes down, you have profit. It goes up, you still have 2/3 left. And then you take 1/3 of that and 1/3 of that. So you're never, ever all out of the, you know, out of the game. The one drawback is you might have some left over when the bear market comes, but the thought process is you benefited so much on your pulls that
the magic moon back. Keep the magic moon back. Yeah.
Always have a little bit, because, you know, like people in 2010 had kept 1,000 Bitcoin. That meant something now, you know. So, hey,
that's true. And I have a friend who bought, I think, the Chainlink ICO or whatever. Like he bought Chainlink pretty early on, but then he sold everything, you know, in a bear market. But if he would have kept Chainlink, you know, in 2018, 2019, he would have made probably 500 to 1,000x, you know, and a 500x with $500, right? That's a lot of money, right? That's like 250 grand. That's $250,000. So man, that's why it always makes sense to keep a little bit in it, a little bit that you're like, man, I don't need that right now. It's, you know, if it goes to zero, well, it goes to zero. But like we were saying, man, like it always makes sense to keep a little bit in.
For sure, man. Yeah. Well, hey, you know, it's been fun, man. Thanks for coming up on the channel. People want to find you. Where can they find you at?
Yeah, man, thanks. YouTube, of course, at Cryptocito. Also on Twitter, same, at Cryptocito. And I also just started a few weeks ago, I started a Telegram group, Cryptocito_army. So just, you know, talking about stuff there. I made a lot of people as admins there. So there's different admins there talking different things, you know, from TA perspective and DeFi perspective and those kind of things. And one thing I always forget to say that is I love to do giveaways. So I have this pool. It's not, I don't know, man. It just came together by coincidence because someone also donated a lot of iris to my channel or to me. So I threw that into a pool. I matched his donation, and now over the next few weeks, I'm going to give away, you know, a few hundred iris here. Actually, I'm going to announce the first winner today. And yeah, man, I just love to give away, you know, to people, especially also to people who need it, you know, there's a lot of people in Venezuela right now that are deep in crypto, but the inflation has hit them really hard. So also happy to support and donate to them. So yeah, that's what you can find on Twitter. Posting a lot about Cosmos, about HBAR, about different projects in the space. So
awesome. Oh, hey guys, make sure to follow Cryptocito. Very, very smart person in the space, and it's always good to follow and hear things that smart people have to say in cryptocurrency. But until next time, guys, it's DubDigital, Cryptocito, signing off. Peace.
Take care, man.